In Algebra 1, we are about to start Chapter 10. Now, Section 10.1 starts out with the Pythagorean theorem. And the Pythagorean theorem says, if triangle ABC is a right triangle, that means it has a right angle, then leg 1 squared plus leg 2 squared equals the hypotenuse squared. Now this is a really long equation. We can actually shorten it by saying a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Now it is really important that c is the longest side. Okay, so c has to be the hypotenuse. Okay. On a triangle, you know that C is the hypotenuse because wherever you see the right angle box, C is directly across the triangle from that box. Okay, so that should be the first side that you label whenever you see a right triangle. So for example, example 1 says, what is the value of x? So it starts with a right triangle. Now as you can see, this side is labeled 20. This side is labeled 8, and this side is labeled x. Well, if I find my right angle box, directly across from that is 20. So I'm going to label this side C. The other two are either A or B. The order does not matter. I could label this A or B. I'm going to label it A, which means this guy has to be B. So, in order to solve for x or for A, I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. All I'm doing now is plugging in the values from the triangle into this formula. So for a, I'm going to plug in x, so I'll have x squared, plus b was 8, so I'll have 8 squared, equals c squared. Okay, now it's just a matter of, well, I have to plug in c. So that would be 20 squared. Now it's just a matter of solving for x. So I'm going to simplify. So I'll get 64 equals 400. Okay, you might need a calculator for these problems. So now I have to subtract 64 from 400. And you'll get x squared equals 336. If you take the square root of both sides, you're going to get x equals 18.33. Okay, so before I actually agree to this answer, I need to look to make sure that this makes sense. C should be your longest side. So 20, is it still larger than 18.33? Yes. So 18.33 is a reasonable answer. I would like you to try and do number 2 in your notes. Please pause this video if you need more time. Number 3 is a story problem. It says, you are cleaning out the gutters on a house. The 8-foot ladder is leaning against the house. It is 4 feet from the base of the house. How far up the wall does the ladder reach? So to solve these types of story problems, you are going to want to draw a picture. So, the first image that it's describing to you is the 8-foot ladder is leaning against the house. So you might want to draw a little version of a house with a ladder leaning against it. Okay, and it tells you that this ladder is 8 feet long, so I'm going to label the ladder with 8 feet. The next sentence says it is 4 feet from the base of the house. Well, the base of the house is down here. So I'm assuming that it's talking about the ladder being 4 feet from the base of the house. It wants to know how far up the side of the house will the ladder reach. So that's the distance from the ground to the top of the ladder. So that's x. Now, in an ideal world, a house will meet the ground at a 90-degree angle. So your 90-degree little box should go in that corner on the ground between the house and the ground. Next, you want to start labeling your sides. Because this is 90 degrees across from here, you're going to label this C. And again, the bottom can be A or B, the side can be A or B. Okay. Once you have that, you're going to want to use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. The number for A was 4, so I'm going to put 4 squared, plus B was the x value, the unknown, so x squared, equals 8 squared for C. 4 squared is 16, plus x squared equals 64. So right now, in order to solve for x, I need to subtract 16. So I will get x squared equals 48. When I take the square root of 48, I get x equals 6.93 if I'm rounding to 2 decimal places. Now, as far as units go, this is going to be feet. So the 8-foot ladder will reach 6.93 feet. Okay. Part B says if the gutters are 15 feet from the ground, will you be able to clean out the gutters using the ladder? Okay. Well, for me, if I take the 6.93 feet and add my own height, which on a ladder I'll probably be about 5 feet, I would reach just about 12 feet. So would I actually be able to clean out the gutters? For me, the answer would be no. Okay. If you have a different height, if you're 6 feet, 7 feet, maybe you'll be able to, but generally, no would be your answer here. Okay. Number 4 says which set of lengths could be side lengths of a right triangle. So in order to be a right triangle, these 3 side lengths have to work with a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, the Pythagorean theorem has to work. So in order to do this, again, you start with c, which should be your largest value. So they list 3 numbers. You're going to label them A, B, and C, starting with C being the largest. After that, A and B can be any of the other 2 numbers, so A and B. I'm actually going to go ahead and label all 3 sets. So C is 10, A can be 4, B can be 8. In here, 26 is the largest one. A I labeled as 24, B as 10. Once you have them labeled, it's just a matter of using the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So for problem A is 6. So I'm going to have 6 squared plus 24 squared. Does that equal 25 squared? Well, like I said before, you're probably going to want a calculator. 6 squared is 36. 24 squared is 576. And 25 squared is 625. Next, I have to do this little addition. 36 plus 576 gives you 612. Does 612 equal 625? No, it doesn't. So that means these three side lengths of a triangle could not ever be a right triangle. So my answer is going to be no. It does not work. The next one, B, you have side lengths of 4, 10, and 8. So I labeled A with 4, so I'll have 4 squared plus B is labeled with 8. Does that equal 10 squared? So 4 squared is 16, 8 squared is 64, 10 squared is 100. So does 16 plus 64 equal 100? Well, I got 80, and 80 does not equal 100, so I'm going to say no. It will not work. The last one, A, I labeled as 24, so I have 24 squared plus B was 10 squared equals C squared, which is 26 squared. So on my calculator again, I'm going to do 24 squared, which is 576. 10 squared is 100, and 26 squared is 676. If I do the addition of 576 plus 100, I get 676. Does 676 equal 676? Yes. So this is the only set of three sides that will actually be able to create a right triangle. Okay. Now, this set of three numbers that are whole numbers that work as a right triangle is what we call a Pythagorean triple. So this kind of leads into number 5, which says any set of positive whole numbers that satisfies the equation, so that works in the equation, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, is called a Pythagorean triple. Determine whether the set of numbers is a Pythagorean triple. So this is doing exactly what we did up here, it's just asking the question in a different way. So part A. Well, I'm going to start by labeling A, B, and C. C is the largest number, so that's going to be 61. A can be 11, B can be 60. If you want to mix those up, that's fine. The Pythagorean theorem will work just as well as long as C is the biggest number. So, plugging that into a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you're going to have 11 squared plus 60 squared equals 61 squared. Again, go to your calculator and do this math. 60 times 60 gives you 3,600. 11 times 11 is 121. 61 times 61, or 61 squared, is 3,721. Now, if I add these two together, I'm going to get 3,721, which does equal 3,721. So yes, this is a Pythagorean triple. I would like you to finish B, C, and D at the bottom of this page, and then start the homework, which is on the next page.